The Scientific Revolution by Deborah Edwards. The 16th and 17th centuries had a revolution in the way the individual perceives the world, and this changed the man's thought process. It was more an intellectual evolution, a revolution in human knowledge. With the scientific revolution, people tried to understand and explain the natural world. The scientific revolution was a complex movement that included many thinkers. The term revolution indicates an uprooting, a reversal, and an overthrow of the old established views or conditions. Nicolaus Copernicus was a Polish astronomer. His term consisted in a realignment of the geometric arrangement of the planets. He proposed the heliocentric alignment, opposing the old belief from the Greeks, the Ptolemaic system, that assumes that Earth was the center of the universe. So he determined that the sun was the center of the cosmos and the Earth moved, and then he created the Copernican system. Mr. Tycho Brahe was a Danish astronomer. He proposed a compromise between the Copernican and the Ptolemaic system. In his system, the Earth is at the center of the universe with the moon and the sun circling around it, but the other planets are around the sun. Mr. Johannes Kepler was a German astronomer. He took Brahe's work and he proposed the first mathematical, precise laws in astronomy, and he published his findings in a book entitled On the Motion of Mars in 1609. Mr. Galileo Galilei was an Italian scientist. He turned his telescope onto the heavens and he discredited the Aristotelian Ptolemaic view, and he was condemned by the Catholic Church for his finding and taken to trial. Einstein called him the father of modern science. Sir Francis Bacon was an Englishman, is the father of empiricism and of experimenting with science. He believed that science had a practical purpose and its goal was the human improvement. Sir Isaac Newton was an Englishman that changed the way people think about the world. He showed that the world could be understood because it followed rational laws, and that the same laws which govern the behavior of nearby objects also regulated the most distant parts of the heavens. He published in 1687 Principia Mathematica, or the mathematical principles of natural philosophy. Newton reasoned that the planets and all other physical objects in the universe move through mutual attraction or gravity. Margaret Cavendish wrote the Observations upon Experimental Philosophy in 1666 and Grounds of Natural Philosophy in 1668. She was the only woman in the 17th century who was allowed to visit a meeting of the Royal Society of London. Émilie Châtelet was a French woman who was a physicist. She held an affair with Voltaire and wrote the Institutions of Physics in 1740. Laura Bassi was an Italian scientist. She was the first woman to teach physics at an European university. Maria Agnesi was an Italian prodigy who wrote a calculus book, and she was the second woman to earn a PhD in Bologna. Eliza Lucas Pinckney was born in the West Indies. She was a scientist that created a strain of the indigo plant, source of what we know now today as blue dye. Caroline Herschel was a German lady that made several observations about nebulae, and she discovered about 9 comets. Sir John Locke was an English philosopher. He argued that the human mind is a blind state and that might be molded by modifying the environment. Human beings can change their destiny without divine aid. The scientific revolution that began in the middle decades of the 16th century and continued through the early part of the 18th century left the world with some new and interesting views, like a new model of the universe, the laws of motion and gravitation, and of course the discovery of elements in nature. Despite the conflicts, science developed rapidly after the scientific revolution. Scientists made and continue to make countless discoveries. Scientific knowledge has changed human life dramatically and touches your life every day. Therefore, the scientific revolution ranks as one of the most influential events in history.